Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. I'm your host JJ and I'm going to have Sergey.
Hey, just as always.
Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays and all of that because today is Christmas. It's literally like the first day of Christmas. So we have a very Christmassy topic for you, which is to say that we're not talking about Christmas because we've done that for like the last couple of years and there's only so much to say about Christmas. We could have made a Hanukkah topic. We should have made a Hanukkah topic, Sergey. That's also around this time, I swear. Actually, when is that? Okay, now I'm looking up when Hanukkah is because that's relevant. Hanukkah, I'm probably misspelling it too.
Instantly going off script.
Yes!
I love this.
The Festival of Lights is a Jewish blah, blah, blah. Yes, no, I mean, when, though? Begins on the 25th Kislev and ends the second Tevet or third Tevet.
What is this? When?
I assume that's a Jewish calendar. Okay, yeah, it says it's oh no, it's already 2021, 28th of November through 6th of December, so that's already over. I was way late with my Happy Hanukkah, so I guess Happy Hanukkah 2022, which is from the 18th of December 2022 to the 26th of December, because the calendars I guess don't align pretty exactly, so it can be anywhere from like end of November to like almost end of December.
I mean, we'll maybe think of that next year. Hopefully,
doing a Hanukkah special. I mean, honestly, like, why not, right? If you can do a Christmas special, we can do a Hanukkah special.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Happy Yule Festival. Oh, that's about the winter solstice, isn't it? Winter solstice is on the 21st. Anyways.
I do not know.
Our topic today, courtesy of Sergey, because we couldn't come up with a topic for like an hour, and then he suggested this, is, and I quote, what we're interested in, and why. So let's talk about what we're interested in, and why. Sergey, you go first, what's your idea?
Oh no.
You should have really seen this coming.
I should have. I'm interested in, let's say, computers.
And why?
Lots of stuff with them.
Great topic. Already love it. I mean, I found this topic very interesting, specifically because of the and why part, because for the most part, I feel like I can't really articulate why I like things. I mean, I guess interested in it, liked are not necessarily the same, quite the same, but like, there's obviously an idea here, right? Where it's like, oh yeah, like, this is something you care about, and why is that? Like, oh, I don't know. Let me actually, I hope this is not too loud.
Usually it's like a lot of different small things, including some bigger things, but like, can't really articulate those in a, like, concisely. You'd be spending like a lot of time talking about it.
Yeah, and obviously,
and that even assuming you actually know all these things.
Like, obviously, there is some objectivity of why you like something, right? Like, you could you could trace it back to all of the things that, as you said, like, accumulated to make you interested in that topic. But, like, realistically, most of the time you don't know all of those, right? But it's like, oh yeah, I like fantasy and science fiction. Why is that? Probably because I was exposed to a lot of that while growing up. Alright? So, I know my mom's pretty big time into that sort of stuff, especially sci-fi, I think. Like, she was pretty big into Star Trek, and, you know, we watched Babylon 5 together, and, like, I was basically exposed to sci-fi from, like, a relatively young age. Fantasy, I remember reading the Harry Potter books when I was younger. That was probably around the time when the movies were coming out as well. So I watched those. I watched Lord of the Rings, but like, a lot of that when I was relatively young, so I mean, that just kind of sticks with you, right?
Oh yeah, totally. Also, by the way, you have a cool mom.
I know. I mean, yeah.
Didn't know she was into sci-fi.
I mean, yeah.
Does not seem to be like a common thing.
I mean, I'm pretty sure she's into fantasy too, but she's definitely into fantasy too. But like, sci-fi is somehow the thing that I think we watched more so back in the day. Though then again, I also watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer with her, so that's more fantasy directed. I mean, that's a show from the 90s. It's more like a thing. She was like, oh, yeah, I watched this back in the day when it came out, and, you know.
Nice.
Then she bought like the DVDs and watched it together. Like, it's sometimes funny.
That's actually pretty cool.
And my mom is like, oh, yeah, like, I found this new show that you might be interested in. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, I watched it like a month ago. It's like, okay, yeah. Like, we have very similar taste in that sort of stuff. And I mean, I suspect that there's some component of, you know, she's into it, so I grew up around it, so now I'm into it. Though, why she's into it would then have to probably have a separate cause, because I doubt her parents were necessarily that inclined, just off what I know about them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big one. Sort of, Star Trek is definitely something that I'm into because of her. And I mean, Star Trek has the interesting aspect that there's like a while back they decided to start making new shows again. So like there are currently new Star Trek shows again. And it's like, that's freaking cool. You know, you had
it really is.
The original series, which I think was in the 60s, like late 60s, I want to say, might have been 70s. But like Star Trek, the original series is kind of
somewhere around then.
Let's see.
Yes.
Today is the episode where JJ looks up stuff. Star Trek, the original series. Why did I type all of this out? Who cares? 1966. I knew it.
Sounds about right.
66 to 69. And then The Cage actually aired in 88, which is the original pilot, which was originally unaired and then later aired after the fact. But yeah, 66. And the most recent episode of Star Trek aired, I'm not going to look that up because I would have to go to a different desktop for that. Well, you could actually look it up on IMDb as well, but aired like, you know, on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday. You know, like, it's a franchise that is still going. Or rather is going again, right? Because I think the Next Generation was at the tail end of the 90s. Oh, actually, no, it was, I'm pretty sure, middle of the 90s, sort of. And then you had Enterprise. I should have looked at those dates if I was going to talk about it, but I didn't. And then I think Enterprise was, like, actually not that far back. I think it was more, like, towards the end of the odds or something. And then there was, a long time there was nothing. Then they made...
Like, which Enterprise?
Star Trek Enterprise. There's a series called Star Trek Enterprise. It is a prequel to the to all of the other Star Trek stuff, so it's the earliest in the timeline, and it is the one captained by Jonathan Archer. It's about the Starship Enterprise. It's a USS Enterprise. Is it even USS? NX-1 rather than the NCC-1701 that is the Enterprise from the original series.
Oh God.
Have I mentioned that I like
so much stuff?
And yeah, currently...
Yes, I do like Star Trek too, but like probably not to the extent that you do.
I actually was thinking about rewatching all of the old shows. I barely watched anything of the original series because, again, it's from the 60s. There's not even that many reruns these days. But I watched large chunks of TNG and Voyager and DS9, but and a bit of Enterprise as well. But I've never watched any of those like in their entirety. And I was thinking that should probably be a thing that I do at some point, like watch all of Star Trek up to where I definitely know I started watching it in its entirety. Basically everything before Discovery. Just like in the correct chronological order. As in real world chronology, not in universe chronology, though I would probably watch The Cage before TOS rather than after. But, you know, more or less the release order.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess it would be the filming order almost.
I mean...
Not an episode by episode basis. Yes.
If I would have, because like I also have wanted to like actually watch Star Trek in the correct order, like skipping like the really old shows. Just like I don't know, man. It's It's old.
You want to skip the old stuff, man? Dude, okay, the original series has 80 episodes, okay? That's not that much.
I mean, it kind of is, though.
I'm not sure how long they are.
Not in total grand scheme of Star Trek, but like in general, like.
You and I have very different standards for what's considered a long show. I mean, okay, yes, most shows are shorter than that, I'll give you that. But, I'm actually kind of curious right now. Does it say... 50 minutes, so those are still full-length episodes. But yeah, 3 seasons. 3 seasons, 80 episodes.
Also, I just looked up like the Enterprise NX-01, and yes, I did watch that series.
I mean, it is definitely... Until Discovery came out, it was definitely the most modern show, but also, weirdly enough, it kind of almost in some ways feels more dated than The Next Generation, because they're dealing with a lot of early CGI. So, you can see some very kind of badly aged CGI where I feel like practical effects generally don't age as badly as CGI does, right? So,
true, yeah.
So even when you're like seeing
definitely
the Enterprise from the 60s, which is like just like a model ship that they're just like flying in front of a background or something, like that is like not great, but it works, right? And then you have them like on a set where it's just like a bunch of painted styrofoam rocks and like someone in a costume, and it's like, okay, this is fine, but then you get like CGI and like, ooh, this is bad CGI. I don't know.
True. Anyway, we have kind of completely ignored the original topic.
I mean,
idea
we do that
we set out to discuss. Do we even want to go back to it?
I mean, I don't care, right? Like, I genuinely don't care.
Or is this a Star Trek topic now?
Is this a Star Trek episode? It could be a Star Trek episode. Also, by the way, I just looked it up, and TNG, Star Trek The Next Generation, came out in 87 through 94, so it's actually a bit older than I thought. 176 episodes over 7 seasons. Voyager 95 through 2001, so it actually came out after TNG ended. 168 episodes over 7 seasons. And Star Trek Deep Space Nine came out in 93 and ran through in 99, so towards the end of TNG and overlapping with the beginning of Voyager. For 173 episodes over 7 seasons. So yeah, they all have around 170 episodes and 7 seasons. The ones after that.
That's a lot of episodes.
I mean, yeah. Enterprise Operation Soldier. Star Trek Enterprise, 2001 through 2005. So it's actually a little earlier than I thought. Wait a second. 2001 through 2005. That means it... Does it mean it ran... Wait, what is it? When is that Voyager came out? Voyager ran until 2001. I'm currently blown my mind with the fact that Voyager ended the same year that Enterprise started. Like, in my mind, they were completely different generations.
Oh.
Okay,
yes, it did feel like that, yeah.
97 episodes, 4 seasons. So, like, the shortest live-action finished Star Trek show is the original series with 80 episodes. There's also Star Trek the Animated Series, which has, I think, 22 episodes, which is basically a sequel to the original series. Originally not considered canon by Gene Roddenberry, but has afterwards been referenced by a lot of the writers that came later, so it's kind of canon. I was gonna watch it, but it's like, you're committing to watching like 400 episodes of TV, you might as well watch the extra 20 animated ones. Also, the movies. Don't forget all the movies. There's like a dozen movies or so. The movies kind of go in between because...
Watched a couple movies.
Yeah.
They do be kind of weird, but like, yeah.
I think it's
kind of still interesting.
I think the general consensus is that like every other movie's kind of good. but in terms of Star Trek, so I think it's the let's see, I think Wrath of Khan is one of the good ones, isn't it? Fucking hell. So there's been what is that? 6 movies originally released that relate to the original series that were in between the original series and the new show, and then after the new show ended, 94. That would have been after the end of, according to what I said. They then made some next generation movies with Generations, which is the crossover one, and then First Contact, Insurrection, Nemesis. So yeah, there is a total of 10 Star Trek movies, and then there's the new ones, the reboots. Those I definitely have seen all of them. I'm pretty sure I've seen all the movies in general, but the new movies, there's been 3 of, one in 2009, one in 2013, one in 2016. I thought they had stopped because they weren't that well received, but it turns out they are making another one.
Oh, really?
Yes. Does it say that in here anywhere? Future development of Star Trek 4. Well, reboot 4. It would be 14 overall, I suppose. A new film scheduled for December 22nd, 2023. Oh, that is in, okay. as of release of this episode, just under 2 years.
I'll be looking forward to that.
That being said, who knows what the world looks like in 2 years?
Yeah.
I mean, I did enjoy the new movies, but people were right when they said they weren't really that Star Trek, right? Like, they were more action-focused.
Yeah.
And they didn't feel like the most Star Trek thing. And I think in response to that is when they started going back to the TV shows as well. I don't know if that's exactly how that happened. I don't know all the behind the scenes, but then they brought out Star Trek Discovery, which I actually really enjoyed for the most part. It had its weird moments, and it's definitely a bit out there, but I do overall enjoy it. And then they started Star Trek Picard, which is about Jean-Luc Picard, the captain from The Next Generation, now a couple years older, because, the actor is also a couple years older. Yes, Sir Patrick Stewart. And that one was kind of weird, but it was still enjoyable. It was mostly nostalgia bait. Like, they had a bunch of the actors that have previously been in Star Trek reprise their roles. And sometimes it feels like they just wrote some plot lines just so they could tie in some of those actors. Overall, it was fine. That one's also getting a second season, actually, I believe, either at the tail end of this year or the beginning of next year. Around the time when the new season of Discovery ends. There's also Star Trek Lower Decks, which is a new animated show, which is actually quite funny, and I highly recommend. And Star Trek Prodigy, which is targeted at younger audiences. It's produced in cooperation with Nickelodeon. So far, it didn't seem that bad. I mean, it's only been 5 episodes, so it's hard to say. They're currently on break. But yeah, I mean, there's a true resurgence. And I haven't even mentioned the stuff that's coming up, like Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which is actually basically a prequel to the original series. It takes place on the Enterprise NCC 1701 under Captain Pike, the guy who was the captain of the Enterprise in the original unaired pilot.
Ah, interesting. Man, I have not been aware of how much Star Trek stuff is out there nowadays.
I have been very aware because I've been following it religiously. I have basically watched every episode of Star Trek that has aired since the inception of Discovery, and I want to retroactively make it so that I've seen every episode of Star Trek. And again, it's just 400 episodes, so again, it's less investment than watching every episode of the Arrowverse. Huh? Remember that? 735?
Yeah. I mean, I guess 80 episodes in that whole thing doesn't sound too bad.
I mean,
anymore.
Listen, right? I'm the TV show guy. I have watched way too much television in my life, and I'm just 23. So, like, let me tell you, I just recently mentally went over like all the stuff that I want to watch, and I'm like, oh god, it's like over 1,000 episodes probably in total. It's like, oh god, where do I get the time? Right, like, I'm currently watching Dexter, and that's getting a sequel, Dexter New Blood. I realized I never finished the X-Files. I only got to like season 2. We have them all on DVD. I should probably finish those at some point. And then there's like, was gonna watch all the old Star Trek shows. I was gonna watch the 3 original Stargate shows. And it's like, dude, we said like, what do you calculate? I said it was like almost, it would have to be almost 500 episodes of just Star Trek alone. And then, Stargate is not that much shorter. X-Files ran for like 11 seasons.
God damn. That, man. It's like a full-time job of just watching TV shows.
To be fair, I just named a bunch of TV shows and said I want to watch them. There's no time frame there.
Yeah.
So, it's just like...
Like, still. Especially since some of them are still airing, like, the longer you don't watch them, the more it gets thrown on top of the pile there.
I'm pretty good at keeping up with most of the stuff that's currently airing. So obviously, I said Dexter is getting a sequel, so that, of course, I'm not watching right now. That I'm, of course, watching after I watch the rest of Dexter. But, like, a lot of the stuff that's currently airing, including the Star Trek stuff, I'm actively keeping up with, so it's not that much of a problem. I think right now, especially, it's not a lot going on, right? It's like the time when Christmas, where most people have the most time to watch stuff, nothing new is airing. It's just a bunch of reruns of Christmas movies. Okay, some new Christmas movies as well, probably, but it's like, I recently had, I think I was looking at, there was like 13 new episodes dropping in a week, and like currently, I think it's 4. It's like, we're really having some downtime right now.
Yeah. I guess you could use all that time to like watch the older stuff, which I'm guessing you will.
Yeah. The thing that always gets me, which does always add up to the piles whenever like entire seasons drop at once, because I usually don't have like the time to just like on the spot just watch an entire season of a show. I do have time. I could probably do it in 2 or 3 days, but it's like, as we were talking about, I'm already like, usually
it is a time commitment.
I'm watching at least one older show that I'm like catching up on, basically. And I'm keeping up with everything that's airing on a day-to-day basis. So, it's like, great, right? I can't just slot that in somewhere and then it gets added to the pile for to watch later, and then, that pile's never gonna shrink. Oh god, watch later. I think I have over 1,000 videos on my YouTube watch later. And I know for a fact I'm adding more videos to it than I'm watching. So at this point, that's just like a thing that I do. That's never getting watched. Like,
the never-ending plan to watch list. It is real.
Yep. I should probably actually try to do the calculation of just how much stuff is on the list of TV shows that I said I was gonna watch. Like just all the stuff I like started at one point but never finished, and like all of the shows that I want to watch in their entirety, and just see how many episodes that is. Do like a rough calculation of how much time that is.
Probably set up a more or less like good spreadsheet with that, where you can just dynamically add new shows as you add them to the want to watch at some point list.
Obviously, I don't really have that much of a formal one watch at some point list. The more formalized is the stuff that's like airing in the future, because it's like very simple. Like I have a calendar where I can like add anything that has an exact date and have like a list of all the shows that are going to air at some point, sorted by year if that is known. And then you're keeping up with those verses like Star Trek, where it's like, oh yeah, like hey, there's like 3 new shows coming. It's like, oh great. Like, genuinely great, but like also it's a lot.
Yeah.
And, Arrowverse you mentioned, like, that's, like, still 4 shows. Maybe 5, depending on how you count. And Star Wars, I'm not, like, the biggest fan, but I'm still watching, like, all the shows. Like, at least the live-action ones. I mean, it's like, all of those, like, six-episode Disney Plus miniseries, like, it's not a big deal. MCU is kind of a similar thing going on, where it's, like, there's, like, a dozen shows announced for the MCU, but they're also, like, all, like, 6 to 10 episodes. And, like, they're gonna air over the next couple
years. That's kind of manageable.
Right, so it's, like, that's
fine.
And so, yeah, so it's literally, like, I think this week was the last episode of Hawkeye. What was as of release. And then next week, on the same day, there's the first episode of the Book of Boba Fett. It's like, right back at it again. I feel like there's almost always like one Disney Plus show basically going where it's like, oh yeah, like Star Wars or MCU or something. Yeah, it's funny.
I gotta ask you after the podcast to like list a couple good short Star Wars themed, like not themed, like Star Wars miniseries.
I mean, the only one that's currently out is The Mandalorian.
I could watch. Okay. So the other ones are coming.
Most of the other ones are coming. I mean, they have animated shows that are like decent. Like a lot of people like Clone Wars. I enjoyed Rebels, so I'm not sure if I ever finished it. Right, like there is some stuff, but like mostly we're talking about like the big live action productions. The Mandalorian has had I think 2 seasons thus far, and then now, again as of next week, the Book of Boba Fett is airing, and then there's an upcoming Ahsoka show, there's an upcoming Lando show, there's an upcoming Obi-Wan show. Like this, like at least half a dozen upcoming shows.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But there's like the Mandalorian kind of started it all. I mean, Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett basically got backdoor pilots in The Mandalorian. Like, that is... Once The Mandalorian was successful, they were like, okay, let's just air a bunch of those shows.
I mean, yeah. I did enjoy the Mandalorian. It was kind of nice.
That's the thing, right? I didn't really love the new Star Wars movies that much, but The Mandalorian was great.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Definitely.
I mean, Rogue One was pretty good as well. The movie.
Which one was that?
The one that's basically a prequel to Episode 4, where they're... the one about the Death Star plans.
I do not know.
I think it
was let me Google.
But yeah, like the sequels, that wasn't
that was the first of the new ones. No, it wasn't.
No, The Force Awakens was it. I think it was before.
Yeah. Okay. No, I have not seen that one. Then, I
mean, that's the one that's good. Like the sequels aren't that great. The Han Solo movie was okay, I guess. But even if you look back at like the original trilogy and the prequels, like they're good, but they're not like. I'm not like in love with them in the same degree that I would be with something like Star Trek, where it's like stuff that I feel like I have a much stronger connection to. Now, granted, generally more of a TV show guy, and Star Trek, while the movie certainly did help it, has always been more of a TV franchise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the sequels especially were underwhelming, and the TV shows thus far have been pretty good, and I'm just gonna keep up with that. When you suggested this topic, first of all, I did not see it going there, where it did, and second of all, I did not know that I had a lot to say about this topic. I was like, you know what? Sure.
Yeah.
So like we're gonna come up with something better in the next 10 minutes, so let's just use that, and like, yeah. Sometimes the stupidest idea... No. That sounds rude. But like, sometimes... like the simpler, less obvious ideas like end up leading to something else. Like it just enough to like hit on an actual topic.
Mm-hmm.
That still sounds kind of rude.
I mean, we can try the same topic idea, like not next week, because we have already something planned for that. Like the week after, maybe. Like at some point
like,
again.
Hey, let's talk about something.
Because it'll probably lead to. I mean, yes. Because it'll probably lead to somewhere else next time.
That's true. Okay, I think we did enough about this.
I think so, yeah.
So I guess going to quickly fix this audio, then he's going to talk to you about his fact of the week. Yeah, he said it. Because it's fact of the week time. I know,
Yeah.
We gotta
audio fixed, hopefully.
Yeah, we gotta figure out at some point how we can prevent this from happening all the time.
Yes.
What's your fact of the week?
Yeah. So, in 1833, on the night of November 12th to 13th, there were so many, like, there was a meteor shower that had so many falling stars, basically, that at Boston, they estimated that the frequency of meteors was about half that of flakes of a snow in an average snowstorm. Wait, let me read it up real quick again. So they computed it on on the basis of that much diminished rate. I don't know what that means, or if that's even the complete thing. That around 240,000 must have been visible during the 9 hours they continued to fall.
Has it been snowing? Well, not exactly.
Yeah. I wonder how it looked like. I mean, because that must have been a hell of a show.
Hey, if you haven't had enough of an incentive to build a time machine before... Oh god. Sergey would never get a time machine done because, let's face it, like there's so many unknowns in there. Like, I feel like Sergey is the kind of person who, if he was building a time machine, would try to make sure that it's like absolutely 100% safe and like everything is double and triple checked and like as secure as can be. Which makes sense, but at the same time, like, it's a time machine. You cannot possibly account for everything. Right?
Yeah.
I feel like you just spend your entire life just drawing up security mechanisms without ever actually getting into like the meat of it. You're just making sure that it's safe.
Most likely. Yep. I
mean, I'm not saying that I would build
sound like something I would do.
I'm not saying that I would build a functioning time machine, but if I had like the technology to make it work, you bet your ass I'd get my time machine done, and you bet your ass you'd die when you use it, right? Like it's. Yeah.
Anyway, what's your fact of the week?
Speaking of building things,
and what if it had a time machine?
Time machine. I don't know. It's not about building a time machine, but it is about building something. More specifically, about building dams. More specifically, it's about beavers building dams. Which apparently not only are very good dams, but also they instinctually build dams, which is not that surprising, but you can literally hold a beaver in captivity, then steal their children. That actually sounds very gruesome. And then put them down in running water, and they'll start building dams. Like, they don't have to be taught how to build them, and they'll build really good dams on the first try. They just instinctively know how to build a good dam. It gets better. They know if their dam is holding up based on whether or not they hear running water. They also know if they need to build a dam in the first place based on the running water. Meaning, if you put them in still water, they're not going to build a dam. If you put them in running water, they will. It gets better. You put them in still water, and you put down a speaker with the sound of running water, they'll start building a dam. It's triggered by the sound of running water. That way they also don't have to visually inspect if their dams are working. If they have a leak in the dam, they'll just hear it.
Nice. I wonder why that is. Like, what led to this?
Evidently, it's evolutionarily useful for them to build dams, I guess. And then it just...
Yeah, but like, why?
I mean, that's where they live.
That is fascinating.
I mean, I suspect that, like, that has some sort of advantage in protecting them from predators, I guess. I don't know. And probably also simultaneously rivers are good food sources. But the fact that, like, specifically the sound of running water is the trigger is kind of interesting. It makes sense for repairs. Because you're like, oh, the dam can broke. But I guess maybe they're not intelligent enough to necessarily make the informed decision that maybe now is a good time to build a dam. But rather it's instinctual, because that's also another thing, right? A lot of animals do a lot of things on instinct. And I mean, even humans do a lot of things on instinct, because it's just not realistic in the wild to rationalize through everything. Right? It just takes way too long.
Yeah.
You just gotta act.
Way too much energy.
Yeah. So yeah, they just, give them some water, give them the sound of a river running, and, like, they'll build a dam. I think that's actually one of the articles I've read on this topic actually said that apparently, I think it was in Canada, they were actually using that fact to have beavers build strategic dams to prevent floods. Like, if they're like, hey, maybe they should build a dam here, they'll just, like, pump up the noise so that they'll build a fucking dam.
It's genius.
On an unrelated note, let me see, which button am I pressing? I'm pressing this button. Haha. We're doing crosswords every week. Maybe not every week, but, like, for now we have been doing it every week.
The last couple.
And I believe we're doing tune-up. Is that tune-up or is it up the scales? No, up the scales last one. Tune-up.
No, tune-up.
20 minutes, so that's a full-length one. That's good. We do better at those, generally speaking. And these are the hints. One of them is blue. That probably means something. It's probably different than the other hints. We'll figure it out. And time starts now. I like to start with the cross. Move with the waves. It's not surf. Harbinger. No longer are as were. Barbecue side. It seems like a side dish. I don't know. Greek H. Greek H. Is it Eta? It is Eta. Haha! I know my Greek letters! Earth to Caesar! Terra. See, because he was Latin.
Yeah.
Gift decorations. Egg dish. Omelette. Scold. I don't know if that's, like, to scold someone as in to, like, give them their comeuppance, or
I didn't know omelette was spelled that way.
I would have not suspected it either. But given what the letters that were there and the question I was asked, I figured it might be. I just thought it was worth giving a try. I'm not sure if scold is referring to actual heat or just, like, to scold a child, but I don't know either way.
Yeah.
New Jersey's largest city is Newark, I think. Newark. It is. Isn't it also the capital? Okay. Move with the waves.
I have no clue.
In the middle. Harbinger is omen. I swear to God, sometimes having a couple letters just helps. Barbecue side. Huh? Gift decorations now is an O there, and berate is the scold one. I swear to God, the letters, man. So moving with the waves is a bob. It is bob. And then gift decorations are bows. And then slaw is the barbecue. Whatever. Wait, so what was the hint? Tune up. Bows. Howdy Doody and Basil... Oh no, that's a question. Okay. Howdy Doody and Basil Brush.
I have no idea what it asks from me.
Extremely cold. Wait, is frigid is too long. Extremely cold. Freezing. Freezing is too long, isn't it? Huh. Roofing material. Maybe tiles? That was a bad idea. Roofing material. What do you put on the roof, Sergey? Rink surface.
I don't know.
Ice. Brothers. FedEx rival. UPS? Yay. FDR's affliction. Oh god, what did he have? God, I mean, he was in a wheelchair.
What is FDR?
What is his name? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. He's the president of the United States.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
Location. Oh, place.
Place?
I like it better when it's the other way around sometimes. Like, you give me a simple word, I give you the more eloquent one. Consumed. It's not 8. What? Oh. I in
3.
Rome today is tre? It is tre. See? It's Italian. Yeah, howdy doody and Basil Brush, I still don't know what that means. Extremely cold, starts with a P. I feel like I should know this.
But that doesn't really...
Oh, is it polar? Yeah, it's polar. I don't know what it has to do with cold exactly.
So it's an extremely cold place, I guess?
I don't know. Roofing material, slate. Brothers, I still don't know, but now we have a lot of letters for the down ones. FDR's affliction, polio. Consumed. I said it's not 8, but it very much does say 8 there. I honestly don't know. Is it?
Eaten.
I know we're on a timer, but I really had to just express my feelings there.
Yeah.
Possessors as David Lee or Philip. I think it's a last name then. Point of view, I guess. POV, preface. POV. Is it? That's point of view, isn't it? Soccer legend. I probably know him, but I don't know. When will blank loved? I guess IB? That was the obvious one. Let's do manner as well really quickly. Manner. Down ones. Little Richard's blank up. It's hard to steal. So did you say something?
No, nothing.
In good shape. Cobbler's concern. Oh, shoe. Yes.
Yes, that does make sense.
U2's producer. How would I know that? David Lee or Philip ends in an H. POV preface ends in an O. And Soccer Legend ends in an E, which is very useful. Yeah, let's do these weird down ones. Slots Sport. So someone who's named Slots Spots. Sorry, that makes more sense. So Slots, apostrophe, Spots. So the singular, I guess, is split. Oh wait, not necessarily. No, could be plural. Anyways, Queasy on board. Well, that was very helpful. What are these down ones? Amazon or Yellow River. And that one we looked at already. What is this one? Blue. Dabba, D-dabba, die. Smooch, kiss. Gotta...
Wait, is the 24 down casino? Or casinos?
Oh, I thought it was something spotted that was called a slot. But yeah, it's casinos. And then, of course, that one was via, by way of. Means justification, end. The ends justify the means.
Yeah.
UFC event. UFC's Ultimate Fight Club. It's an MMA. Oh wait, is it MMA? Okay. It's not MMA, is it? No, it's not an event. It's the sport. MMA stands for mixed martial arts, by the way. Reconstruction or Victorian? Is it era? Sure enough is. Young Vito. Fucking hell. Where's my recording? Young Vito. I don't know Vito. Who's Vito? Armstrong. So, what?
No idea.
Okay, that's not very helpful. Armstrong's Vice. Building and grounds. Property. Property? Is it? Something like that, right?
What? Wait.
Property.
Property. ERTY. Yes. No. Apparently not.
It's gotta be it, right? Ice cream flavors. Well, I mean, we don't have anything new here. There's a down one here as well. Below the surface. Under? That would have been too simple, but it did fit. The blank runner. Road. No, not road. I also still don't know what bows, shoe, and whatever the other ones are have to do with each other. Let's look at this one really quickly. What all the highlighted words have.
Yeah.
See, I knew there was a pattern, that doesn't help me. That's the other crossroads here.
What's the bottom right one?
Below tenor. Oh god. Base. Base. Pile of pancakes could be a stack. Judge Lance, I don't know. Puny, maybe small. Spooky, scary.
Yeah.
What about collection? Maybe a set. What about stopwatch? Oh, timer.
Only something with time. Timer, yes.
Company with many pitfalls. Is that a pun? Is this like a company that like digs out pits or something? Firth or Kaepernick? Colin Firth, I believe, is an actor. Colin Kaepernick was a football player. No, he was a football player. I was about to say is because he's not dead. But he's also not a football player anymore.
Yeah.
What actors are
The
encouraged?
the one below small is eerie.
Oh yeah.
Probably.
What actors are encouraged to break? I don't know, but eerie.
Leg.
Oh, leg. Yeah, break a leg. Yeah. I always forget that's an acting thing. To me, that's just a thing that people say. Judge Lance. I don't
Yeah.
know. A company with many pitfalls. I also don't know. Atari? Okay, it's Atari. String. Strings. The thing that have in common. A bowstring, like shoelaces. Bass has strings.
Yeah.
So what was this? The blank runner. What is strings? I don't know. Okay, that one's here. Quarter quart. So yeah, do you know your imperial units by chance? I believe it's a volume.
Nope.
Quart. Queasy on board. Pittsburgh product. Steel. No, we did those. Manor. I just realized it could be mansion, but it's not because of the S. Well, I'm not sure if it could be from lengthwise, but jazz animal. Ant? What other animal ends in an... I don't know what jazz animal... What makes an animal jazzy, but it ends in a T? Function. Use. Docking site. Nearby. I just realized I don't think we've done these. Break a commandment is to sin. Green prefix is eco, maybe? See, now we're getting somewhere. It's hard to steal. Don't know. Oh, is it something base? Is this a baseball thing? Stealing bases? In good shape. U2's producer. Huh. Oh, it's home base. It is a baseball thing. I still don't know what that means. David Lee or Philip, POV preface, soccer legend, and manor have some extra letters. Where were we? I think we did those. Yeah, this one. Half of Hamburger's catchphrase. Fucking hell, I only know the Hamburger by name.
I think it's 45 across is close, by the way. 48.
Oh, close. Yep. I mean, that still doesn't help me with this, but it is definitely very useful, especially for these. Digestion aid starts with an S. I actually don't know what that is, but... Tooth covering. Oh, fucking, what is it? What is it called?
Email... I don't know.
Something like that, right? Fucking hell. I'm pretty sure the M is correct, at least. Prohibit. Oh, it's ban. That's not what the end goes. So it is not even... Enamel? Enamel, yeah, okay. Cool. Yak.
Okay.
Yak. That's like some sort of bovine, isn't it? Bean type could be Lima. It is Lima. Holiday procedures are Eves. Lou Gehrig's disease is ALS, I guess. Digestion aid is saliva. Okay, I could have gotten maybe. Half of the Hamburger's catchphrase. So? Something? So? Or do. It could also be do. I have no idea, man. And this one is the yak. It's a something lab. To adjust like A, E, O, I, U. Which one did I forget? Y? I don't know. Okay, let's just... I am cheesing it. I guess there is a bunch of vowels that could technically go there to make a valid sounding word. Blab. Oh, to yak, I guess. To blab, yeah.
No idea.
Obble. Obble. Cobble? Huh. Rubble. Okay. Docking side ends in ER. The genus animal still ends in T, and I still have no idea. Queasy on board. Oh, something sick. Is it car sick? Is it seasick? It's seasick. Which means that this is a bat? No, a cat? It's a cat. Docking site. Quart. Oh, it's a cup. It's a pier. It's a pier. Pier is spelled that way. I mean, I guess how else would you spell it? But like, manor is an estate.
Yes.
Little Richard's blah blah something it up. It's a song, I think. Little Richard is a musical artist, I believe. So what could we? I was gonna say pump it up, but that doesn't fit. In good shape. Is it aesthetic? It doesn't fit, does it? Is it like spelled like some sort of? Nothing new there. I mean, it's like Young Vito, UFC event, Armstrong's Vice, Building and Grounds, Ice cream flavor.
We looked at the across ones, like down there.
Young Vito.
What is it?
60 seconds is a minute. Oh fucking hell! I didn't. Potter's Oven. We didn't, did we? Kiln. It's not. Oh, it's kiln, isn't it? Yeah. Archipelago component. How did I miss this?
I don't know.
Crying product. Crying product. Curve. It's up. Ice cream flavors. Vanillas. Below the surface. I don't know, man. Well, we could have done worse. Oh, maybe not that we didn't know that they had strings, we might have been able to get puppets as well. I don't know. Oh, fucking hell. UFC event is a pay-per-view. It's kind of gettable, but still kind of stupid as well. Apparently the young Vito is De Niro. Armstrong's Vice is PED. Or PED. I don't know. The Building and Grounds is Premises. Okay.
That's gettable, but like, yeah.
Below the surface is Inner. I guess like if you have like a balloon or a ball or something, it also has a surface, and within that is, but that's a stretch.
It
archipelago
really is.
component is an isle, right? An archipelago is an island chain. Yeah, that should have been gettable. That was just time pressure. I'm going to blame that one on time pressure. The crying product is the product of crying. It's a tear. If you keep asking these sort of questions, I'm gonna start crying, man. The curve is ESS. S, I don't know. The blank runner is the kite runner. Haven't heard of him. What else do we have? Little Richard's is Rip It Up, okay? And In Good Shape is Athletic. Okay, that should have been gettable. I'm being a bit of an idiot there. David Lee or Philip are Roth. I didn't know those guys. POV prefaces IMHO. In my honest opinion. I think it's honest. I mean, IMO I could have maybe got. But even that is a stretch. Soccer legend is Pele. Okay, fair enough. Wouldn't have been the first or second guy I would have come up with when it comes to soccer legends, but I guess I'll allow it.
Man.
How about a brief second topic?
How about it?
It doesn't have to be
Sounds like a good idea to
technically
me.
It doesn't have to be that brief, but I also currently only have 5 written down, and I'm not necessarily planning on going much further.
Yeah.
Can I skip rope or hula hoop?
Sorry, what?
Can I skip rope and or hula hoop?
Probably. Like, especially if you had like a couple minutes.
I mean, I don't know about hula hooping.
Get back into it.
I don't have any experience with that. I feel like rope skipping. I'm not sure if I have, but I mean, I'm sure I have, right? Like, I mean, that doesn't seem like that difficult of a thing. I'm gonna go with I guess. So yeah, sure, point. I'm gonna say you probably can at least skip rope as well. Like, that doesn't seem like that difficult of a thing.
Yeah. Like, skip rope, definitely. Hula hoop, most likely. But I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely, both of these are probably things that you can like learn to do at the very least at a basic level without too much effort.
Yeah. You most likely can after like a minute trying.
Yeah. We're smart enough to figure it out. Okay, Sergey. Here is the $1 million question, though. What is under my bed?
Tons and tons of Lego.
That's definitely one of the things that's under there. So, according to my pre-prepared answers, I mean, what isn't?
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
listen, right?
Man.
People can roughly see the elevation, right? And then, the mattress is like, what? It's like a fucking, what is it, 1.80 m by 70 centimeters or something? Like, whatever the default mattress size for a single is.
I don't know.
And, like, you can roughly tell how high it is based on the fact that I'm sitting on a couch, and that is the height of it. I mean, that's not the greatest estimation, but
yeah,
like, that's a lot of volume. So yeah,
and it's practically filled like completely.
Yep. So yeah, you are right on that, and Lego is definitely one of the more notable things under there for sure. I definitely have multiple boxes of Lego under there. I have various other things under there as well, but that's one of the big ones.
Yeah.
Actually.
We have spent a bit of time going through the Lego you had there.
Oh yeah, we have. Huh.
Weirding Alex out in the process
is a much more interesting question. I'm gonna say, I was gonna originally say nothing, but there's probably something under there, but not much. Like, something minor that you maybe stuffed under there to get it out of the way, but like, I feel like this is not like a major storage space for you.
So, which one is it? Something minor?
I mean, sure. Let's go with that.
What I wrote down is cobwebs mostly, because I don't really have anything down there.
Yeah, I mean, my idea was kind of, I mean, you can tell me how much at some points, but my idea was basically like, yeah, like, you don't really have it as a major storage area, but like, you might shove something under there if you want it out of the way.
I mean, like, if you want to have it technically, because I technically do, because like my bed has like these not built in, but like separate. What is it?
That is literally the opposite of built in. Yes.
Furniture, yes, but like in the style as if it was built in, where you can just rearrange them any way you like. Like, but they're not affixed to the bed itself. You can just push them in or out or whatever. So they're technically like half under my bed, but like it's like So I don't know, man. Like 2/3 a point or something, or half a point. I don't even know.
I think half a point is fine. Oh my. Oh my. Sergey. Who's the last person I kissed? I swear to God, man, this thing is made for like teenage girls. Like I know this particular question doesn't necessarily imply that too hard, but like this does sound like teenage gossip kind of shit.
Yeah.
On the same note, there were previously questions about like the skirt dress thing that very much makes it clear this is addressed at girls, and also like, no, I could see change points also gossip about the kissing thing.
Anyway, I guess it was your mother.
I mean, don't call me out like that. I mean, yeah, no. So, yes. It's yeah. That is yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I want to explain the cultural differences here or like when I was a wee lad, I just don't go around kissing people, man. It's weird. No, I mean I'm just like terminally single, so it doesn't make sense. Terminal. I don't know. It sounds like I'm dying from it. I don't know. Let's see, who's the last person you kissed? Like, I'm gonna say there was that one time when there was a girl that you really liked, that she liked you, and it was, I don't know, in like 6th grade or something, and it never came anything of it, but I mean, this is all just pure guessing game, but like that's what I'm going with. Like, I mean, it doesn't literally have to be exactly 6th grade, but like I'm saying like some sort of like one-off or very brief like school romance type thing. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to say you have more game.
Man, you're ascribing way too much stuff like romantically to me. It never got that far. I
only ever got you holding hands.
Not even, man. Not even.
Oh wait, that's very
for me.
I love that there's entire subreddit dedicated to that, like r/hand holding.
Yeah. No, it's kind of the same for me. It was my mom or my grandmother. I'm not even sure. Yeah.
I was really rooting for you there. I mean, I get that that was a pretty like I feel like if you ask most people, well, I mean, okay, no, that's not even the answer for most people. Like for most people, like the thing with like the high school fling, well, I say high school, but like the school fling that would have probably been a thing that most people had, but also most people probably would have had someone else since. But like again, I
mean, I'm pretty sure we've talked about that at some point.
We probably have. Maybe I just like to imagine you have game. I don't know. Let's see. That's not even. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have a lot going on.
Same.
Do I collect anything?
I don't know, probably not.
I mean, this is a difficult question because, I mean, I guess, like, the thing is, right, I have quite a few D&D books. Would you consider that a collection? I don't know. I have trading cards of various trading card games that I have accumulated over the years. I definitely did at one point collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I still have all of them. I have some Pokemon cards, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
And I got a bunch of Magic cards a while back. More for playing than for collecting purposes.
Like, you're not collecting them anymore?
It's like, I'm not actively collecting anything new, I suppose. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm empty water bottles until I have to bring them away when I, go shopping or whatever.
I was considering saying that.
there's always like a rather large collection of like empty plastic bottles, because I drink a lot of water, and that's definitely a thing. I mean, it's
I'm out of frame.
I'm not a collector in that sense, at least not anymore. I mean, I used to collect Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I still have those. But even then, I wasn't not like the most hardcore into that. I was also playing Yu-Gi-Oh. That was like a really big deal in elementary school. Like, people were playing Yu-Gi-Oh. And those were the times. And yeah, I mean,
man,
I don't know if I can give you a full point for this. I'm gonna give you half a point.
It is weird, yeah.
This is a weird situation. Let's see. You have certainly followed series of books and probably also other media, and I know there is a series of light novels that I believe you have the entire series of. The question is, does something like that count as collecting? I don't think you have any other like more serious collections besides that, but you do probably have stuff like that where it's like, oh yeah, I have like the entire series of like an entire book series or something. I'm gonna say that's your situation.
It is my situation, but like the same thing again. Like I don't know if that counts as collecting.
I mean, yes, that's why instead of saying yes or no, I explained your situation.
Yeah, man, it's so hard.
Like, is it really collecting if I have like one series of books? Like, I don't know, man, it's kind of weird. Like, even like the D&D books, I only have one from an older edition, and that just because I could get it really cheap. Like, if I had like books from like all sorts of editions, I might be like, okay, that's like clearly a collection. Like the 5e books I'm actually using when we're playing.
Yeah.
Like that is actually a practical thing to have. So it's not really a collecting thing as much. Like, the older book, that's less justifiable, but again, it's like one because it was really cheap on eBay. I was at some point considering maybe getting like a more sturdy RPG book collection built up. But I would want to do it on the cheap because I'm not gonna like spend all sorts of money for like a collecting type of thing because I'm also like very stingy.
Definitely relatable. I mean, kinda, I guess. Give you like half a point for that too.
Jesus Christ! You said a perfectly splendid situation, and you're like half a point.
I mean, you said. Well, wait. How did you phrase that? No, wait. Let me.
I said that there's that one series of light novels that you read, and I'm pretty sure you have every one of, but you don't really collect.
Okay, yeah, no, that does describe my situation pretty well.
I mean, on the one hand, I don't care that deeply about the scoring. On the other hand, after I've perfectly described the situation, only getting half a point does seem kind of wrong. Oh boy. Let's make this last one just because I don't have anything else prepared. And also, like, we might as well have a short podcast every now and again. What was the best vacation I ever took?
This one is hard to answer because you had so many. And
I mean, I kind of
like it's at least it seems to me like you had so many because
there's categories though.
Joel,
I feel like there's like 4 categories.
Yes, there are.
There's like 4 categories that everything very distinctly falls into, and only one of those categories is really worth separating out. So that's the thing.
Huh?
I'll explain once you've given the answer, but I'm not even 100% sure what my answer is, but I have some leanings. If you can get something I'm leaning towards, you'll get a point.
I will just guess that it's like our first camping trip together.
Yeah,
because I think that was the one with the concert, right?
I think that might have been the first one. Camping trip was on the list.
I don't even remember if it was the first or second one.
I don't know either, but so, okay, I would have said either probably camping trips or one of our school trips, specifically the one to Florence. Categories. 4 categories, right? I said, number 1, those times when we went camping. Kind of though we're separating for me because they're very similar. Then, generally, like, just going to the mill with my family. That's like...
Yeah.
It's kind of a vacation-y type thing. Camping with my parents. More specifically with a camping trailer. For events for like RC planes. My father is really into that. And so like there are those like sort of like events where it's just like, oh yeah, like it's like a camping weekend and there's like a specific space for like flying and like everyone brings their planes. There's a couple of those that we used to go to. Well, my parents...
That's really cool.
But I used to come along. I think it's like usually 3 a year that we would go to. So those I also grouped together because I couldn't tell you what happened in any one of them specifically. I could probably tell you stories that happened at those, but I couldn't tell you when and which one, and if some of those happened on the same weekend or not. But like, so that's, again, those are, all 3 of those I think are groups that are not necessarily worth splitting up because it's very hard for me to tell you what happened on one time versus another time. I think like those, like both of the ones that there were basically just like weekend things with my parents, I don't find particularly noteworthy, so those would have been wrong answers. The camping trips, again, those I think is one of the correct answers. And then the other answer, the fourth category is class trips, which we've had various of over the years. 2 in particular that stand out that are the most vacation-y are when we went to Austria for skiing, and we went to Florence. And Florence would have been the other one where I would have said that's probably also up there for like top vacations. It had the downside of being a school trip, and like because they had to kind of classify it as educational, we had to like go to some museums and shit. So that wasn't the greatest, but like otherwise it was pretty fun. Okay. One thing about that is that when we went places and they started like explaining the history and everything, I could not have cared less. But in retrospect, I think I should have probably just paid more attention there because some of that stuff is actually genuinely interesting. I just didn't care at the time, so that's a bit of a missed opportunity. But I mean, that was a big trip. We were mostly in Florence, but we also did take, I think, 2 different day trips to like, I think a total of 3 other cities. So like we were basically all over Italy. Well, I mean, I'm sure it was all like pretty close because the trips weren't that long. But so a lot of stuff happened there. A lot of memorable stuff as well. So that is also another thing. We played a lot of poker on that trip. We did go through the city. I was in that stupid Leaning Tower that I still think is kind of stupid. Like the Leaning Tower of Pisa is just like a crooked ass tower that is leaning a bit to the side, and I still don't get what people see in it. Like, I was there. I still don't get it. Like sometimes they're like, "Oh yeah, no, you gotta experience it in person." Man. Otherwise, like, no, I was there. I don't get it. I was also apparently to the best ice cream place in, I think it might have been in Europe. I don't think it was in the world. I think it was in Europe.
Oh, damn. That sounds fancy.
I mean, it was ice cream.
Was it actually, though?
Like, I'm not enough of a connoisseur, I suppose, but like, it was just ice cream, right? Like, I think I had like, I mean, it did also have something very basic, but like, it's like, it was okay. I mean, they had a very large, like, selection, so that was nice, but like, it was very crowded. You had to stand in line for like half an hour or something. Because like, again, like it was officially recognized as like the best in Europe. At least, I don't know if it was like still at that point or if it was just like at one point they were, I don't know, but like, so it's like, oh yeah, like this is like one of the best ice cream places in the world basically. And so like the lines are looking accordingly and the ice cream tastes like ice cream. I don't think it was worth the extra waiting time in line. Let's put it that way. It's not that it was bad.
Yeah.
It's just that it didn't blow me away, and I feel like for like how hyped up it was, it should have. So like, I mean, it's definitely the vacation that I can tell the most about because it was also relatively long. But I did really enjoy our camping trips, and they are like the other thing that's up there. Speaking of, for your answer, I'm gonna say it's the camping trips as well because I don't know any other particular vacations you went on. I'm sure they exist. I just don't know of them.
I had two in mind that I would have given you points for, and none of them were the camping trips, though they were like generally high up there.
I mean, fair enough.
One is me going to Siberia, to my hometown, during winter of 2015 to 2016.
Okay, I mean, I guess I could have known that you do go there sometimes, but I wouldn't have known that specific date or anything.
Man, that was great. That was like, because at that point I haven't really seen any like actual amount of snow in like forever, and I have not seen any actual amount of snow since. And I really want to go back there during winter, even if it reached below minus 40 degrees Celsius there while I was there.
How long can you survive in those temperatures anyway?
It's I know it's really not that bad. Actually,
I'm pretty sure minus 20 gets dangerous after a while. I mean, like thick jackets and everything, so it's fine, but so minus 40 is quite a lot colder than that. Some might say it's twice as cold, which would be wrong. It really is. They can say that. That's how temperature works. Right? Twice as cold. First of all, twice as cold is another thing. You could say half as hot, but you would still have to go with an absolute scale, i.e., Kelvin, and at that point, it's not close to half. Like that's relatively close together. Also,
not at all.
Kelvin might not be the only absolute scale before anyone comments, but like any other scale that is absolute would have to be proportionally scaled from Kelvin, so it doesn't matter. Otherwise, not absolute.
But good insulation, I guess. Scarves, hats, jackets, like everything. The other one would have been a school trip to Krakow in Poland.
Yeah.
Which was kind of fun. Have a couple stories from there that are, in my opinion, quite interesting.
I do remember you
not
telling me
going to go into detail now.
Been to Poland. I believe you mentioned that the Polish language is kind of really weird for you to listen to.
Also read.
Oh,
man, I can't find my way around there just by like reading. And stuff. Like I can somewhat communicate with the locals there. Like, man, it's so weird.
It's gotta be weird for you generally to encounter Slavic languages that are written in a Latin script, right?
Yeah.
Because you're used to Russian being written in the Cyrillic script, and then you do obviously know the Latin script because you speak German and English, but it's quite different to read those than to read a Slavic language using the Latin script.
Yes.
Huh.
But one of those I've given you points for. But
I mean, fair enough. I literally, as I said, like I don't think I would have been able to guess either of those, like because I didn't really like specifically know about them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the only thing. But what I did just take out of this answer is that I'm writing how much Polish can Sergey understand as a future podcast topic.
Interesting.
I mean, there's technically many foreign languages that we can do that with. We could just, how much Dutch do we both understand? And then I think it would be a stretch to start having me guess like Spanish or Italian or something because I speak French, because I don't even speak it. It's not like I speak French as well as I do English or German. So it's even more of a stretch for me to understand a related language. But definitely the idea is like, how much does Sergey understand of Slavic language X? Or how much do we understand of like Germanic language Y? Could be a very interesting
I've seen like experience. A series of videos once where they are is like a guy that I don't know if he made it or like someone else made it and he just demonstrated it, but like where they demonstrated inter-Slavic,
Yes.
like a constructed language of like different Slavic languages where the goal is to be able to communicate with all of them.
Yes, the video was by the channel Ecolinguist, run by a guy named Norbert.
I think so,
who
maybe.
is Polish, I think.
I think so, yeah. That does ring a bell.
I've actually seen a lot of those videos. Not the Slavic ones. I didn't really care much for those because I wasn't going to understand anything because I don't speak a Slavic language. But I think I have watched literally every single video that he's done on Romance languages. Which is kind of...
Okay,
I started watching those like when I barely spoke any French, which at that point, like, I barely understood anything, even when they were speaking French, so like that wasn't that useful. But like some of the later ones I watched when my French was... I mean, I wouldn't call it great, but when it was okay. And sometimes it's kind of interesting how you can understand at least some of what is being said in some of the other languages, especially since you have both the written and the spoken version to work with. And I've seen some of the ones about Germanic languages as well. Like, there was one about Old English, and there might have been one about Dutch, I'm not sure. When, it's like, oh yeah, Old English, surprisingly easy for me to understand compared to most of the English speakers there. Because sometimes I can pull from German.
Yeah, it's like quite a lot similar to German.
Yeah, where they can't, right? So if there's like not a modern English equivalent, it's oftentimes harder for them to pull from. And I think some of them also had experiences with other languages to some degree, but yeah. Like someone said, like, oh yeah, that's just German. Like I know that. So yeah, Ecoling was very fascinating, and I'm basically just saying, let's steal his idea with what we have available, which is us. And then because I don't speak Polish, it's probably just going to be a lot of me just typing something into Google Translate and having the Google Translate lady pronounce it. Which...
I mean, that's not even a bad idea.
I'm sure it's going to just add to the experience. I mean, either that or find something on like, what's it? It's not Wikipedia, but it's like something like that with the like how there's Wiktionary and all that stuff. I think there's one project specifically for like language samples.
Probably, I don't know.
But yeah, something like that. We can also at some point, I'm gonna write that as a halftime show idea maybe. The Can You Guess the Language thing we can also play, where you get I think there's both written and audio versions. Though I'm more familiar, I think, with the audio version, where you have to guess the language that is being spoken or written.
That is quite a cool idea. I like that.
We should technically cover quite a bit of ground with you speaking a Slavic language and we both speak two Germanic languages. I speak a Romance language. You are learning a whatever the fuck Japanese is, and I don't really know my classifications that well once you send me to Europe. So, not only did we hopefully produce an interesting podcast, I mean, the first topic was definitely more interesting than I expected it to be. No offense. But also, we came up with way more topics and ideas during the podcast than we did in our planning leading up to it, because once you're talking about stuff, you just come up with ideas. That is the lesson of today, but before we leave you, how about... Oh, no, actually, let's look at the scores and then do songs of the week. I got... You got 4.5.
5 today, right?
2.5 out of 5. So I got 50%. That's a passing grade.
Yeah.
Now you should be at a total of 45.17, and I should be roughly at 48.58. It might be 47.58, depending on who you ask.
47.58. Yeah.
So the trend continues that Sergey is catching up with me. I said that like 2 or 3 weeks ago, where it's like, oh yeah, like Sergey is like, consistently catching up now. Like I started off stronger, but then you're not catching up. Maybe we'll be equally good friends at one point. Balance will be returned to our friendship. Songs of the week.
Songs.
That's what I was gonna go to before I realized that we had scores. So, okay, what is the song of the week?
So, My song of the week is December by Earth.
Oh God, they made their own fucking. They made Christmas version of September. Yeah.
Yep.
Were they One Hit Wonder?
Yep.
Because One Hit Wonders have the tendency to like just be like, oh, let's just do our most popular song just again.
I don't know.
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
But it explicitly mentioning 25th night of December.
Yeah.
And this podcast coming out on the 25th, I just had to. Because like originally I wanted to do that last week, but like it fits so much better this one.
I mean, it does seem like they had a lot going on. They won, they won nominations. They won awards for multiple albums. They.
Oh damn!
I don't know. Oh yeah, like a bunch of their stuff charted. Their 2014 album Holiday, which I believe is what you are looking at right there, is hit number 19 on the US R&B charts. You know, they were really successful, like all around, which is then makes it surprising that they're just ripping off their own song. But hey, what you gonna do? I'm not gonna say that if I had something successful, I wouldn't just keep churning out more of that. I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a complaint. I was just surprised that a band who seems to have been relatively prolific would do the own stuff. Yeah, no, it's. I mean, I like it. I like September, so obviously I was gonna like this.
Yep.
So, 'tis the season, as Sergey has kind of hinted at. He didn't explicitly mention Christmas, but he did mention the 25th of December. So, gotta go with the classic, gotta go with my favorite Christmas song. I'm pretty sure I've used it at least once or twice during Christmas. I don't think I used it last year, but I'm pretty sure I used it 2 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago. It is Merry Christmas, Everybody by Slade.
Nice song.
It's my favorite Christmas song. And it's Christmas. You know, I had to.
Yep.
I was literally forced to. So actually, interesting secondary fact. The Wikipedia article
no other choice
for this song has 3 images for the actual single. One is literally an image of the actual, like, I was gonna say LP. No, the actual single itself. So, like, the actual vinyl, which I don't like using as a picture. And then it had 2 alternate covers, one of which is the French one, one of which is the German one. The French one looked a lot more Christmassy, but I couldn't find a high-quality version of. And this is the German one. So, there's that. It doesn't look very Christmassy.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
The other one was, like, red with some white stars on it. You know, it looked a bit Christmassy. Anyways.
Nice.
That brings us to the end of this. I love how I said we were going to keep it short by like doing only 5 questions, but then the last question we talked for a while, and so this podcast isn't even like that short. I mean, it's fine. I mostly just didn't want to have to add more questions to my spreadsheet without formatting. But, you know. I was going to say, right, you know, like comment, subscribe, Discord server, comments, said comment. Oh yeah, subscribe to Sergey's channel, subscribe to Trashcan TV, subscribe to, I don't know, Wealthy98, All Things Nerdy. Maybe I'll release a video there next year. I'm pretty sure I said I was going to release one this year, and then I didn't. I guess I still have time.
You still have time. Do it now.
Like right now. I'm going to like not end the podcast, and I'm still going to record a video for that channel. That's also going to be the end of the podcast, but then, yeah. Maybe. We'll see. Sergey.
That's it.
That's it.